Well, welcome everybody to the first episode of Forever Bristol City podcast, 25-26 season match day review. What a match day it was. The final score at Bramall Lane, it finished Sheffield United 1, City 4. Stellar start to the season, stellar performance, 100% all round. I think most fans were gobsmacked that it finished like that. But what a display. I'm joined today by Paul Hunt, Dave Tovey, and making a welcome return to the panel, Mark Tovey, no relation to Dave. But we've missed Mark's sense of humour, and I'm sure we'll see plenty of that on display today. Of the four of us, Paul, you were actually there. I mean, did you go there with hope, expectation, and how did you feel on the final whistle?
Yes, I went there with hope and expectation. My prediction was 2-1 win to us, actually, because I thought we might catch them cold because they've had a few issues. Probably a good time to play them. I never thought it'd be 4-1. It was just like, it reminded me a lot of that, and I know it's been mentioned before the game. Whoops. of when we played them on the first day of the season with Cottrell's team under our promotion season there. I had the same sort of feelings by the end, that they were the favourites, they were expected. No one's mentioned us in pre-season in all these previews, and we just turned them right over, didn't we?
Certainly did. Dave, what were your thoughts on the final whistle?
You're asking the wrong question, really. It's more, how was I feeling after the hour? Because I've been watching this beautiful game of football. I've been watching a football team who would embrace chaos. They were brave, they were intense, and even after the hour mark, you could shut up shop, and they're still looking to get forward, still looking to attack. But the summary version is, sign me up. I'm in. Incredible. I'm in. Sign me up.
Mark, what were your thoughts? I mean, did it? I guess it avenged the humiliation of the playoff defeat, even though it's match one, so you can't judge anything on one game. But how did you feel?
Yeah, I'm going to call it the first of the summer Twine with Scott Twine. I mean, it was vintage Twine. How he, the close, either Mehmeti or Twine would push up close to Reese, who held the ball that brilliantly. He was just so strong on the ball. He was the difference. Ross McCrory back to his storming best on the right. But after a flimsy first half, when Sheffield United looked like they could play through us, as they proved when we gave the ball away for their goal, we just stopped them passing through the lines, made them go wide, and dealt with it easily. And Radek Vitek, 6'6", dominant in the air and good on the ground, a huge difference. And I'm going to embrace Struber ball if there is such a thing, because it was exciting, it was aggressive, and the goals were amazing. The second goal, I mean, the way we played it.
Well, we get into those.
Absolutely terrific performance. Couldn't say any more.
I mean, look, I got to hold my hands up, much like I did with Andy Vyman a couple of 3 seasons ago. I've not been Twine's greatest supporter, but he put in his best performance in a Bristol City shirt, showing every inch why he was worth that money that's been paid. And he certainly upped his game. I've seen the pre-season, and he continued it where it mattered. Paul, the lineup, predictable, really, I guess, because he stuck with it. Might have been a temptation to start Sykes and flip McCrory across to the left, or not? Was it exactly as you expected it to be?
Yes, I thought he'd stick with the same lineup, especially when I watched that Robin's extra time, because you was the one there was a bit of a doubt, but they were saying on that when we were defending, sometimes he was staying forward, and we went more into a 4 with McCrory coming back. So I thought he'd go with the same starting lineup as last pre-season game.
Yeah, Dave, the lineup predictable. The bench, big message there that maybe Fally Maulu doesn't have a future at the club. We can talk in more detail, but what were your thoughts of the lineup and Maulu's omission?
I think it says a lot. And if I'm right in thinking, let me just have a quick check. There's no Morrison on the bench either, right? So it was basically a sense of two messages being sent. One, you're far behind, and I really don't see how Fally gets much of a shot in that side, to be honest, because he's so far down the pecking order. And for Morrison, it's a question of you've got work to do. You need to catch up. He is still young. You shouldn't just put players automatically in. But for me, it was quite telling that in the most important position on the pitch that has the most demands, he wasn't on the bench. But that's for later. But in terms of the side, very much the side that I expected it to be yesterday, and I think it was the right call with hindsight.
Yeah, Mark, Gerhard has said he doesn't put square pegs in round holes unless absolutely. Were you surprised against a powerful team like Sheffield United, although trying to come to grips with having a new manager in Celes and losing some key players? Were you surprised that you made it in that left wing-back position at such a tough opening game fixture?
Yeah, I was just about to say the same thing. I think he had to double up at times with Mehmeti to cope with Sariki. Sariki was really dangerous in the first half, getting behind us regularly, and they could have scored 2 or 3 goals quite easily. But I think it was he also relied on the fact that he could play out from the back. He's a bit of a nuisance. He doesn't get in a lot of tackles, but he does slow players down. I think the problem is City are good, where City are concerned, when they play out from the back, it's winning that second ball. So it was a brave decision to play him there, but it worked eventually because of the way that we tweaked it in the second half and stopped them playing through us. We were very solid. So that was the difference. But yeah, that was the only weak link. Him, and I think Adam Randall was also a little bit flaky in the first half. In the second half, him and Knight were fantastic.
Yeah, they pulled it all together. I mean, looking at the stats, we've often said it's not how much you've got the ball, it's what you do with it when you've got it. And 73% possession for them, 20 shots on target. 20 shots in total, 6 on target. We had 9 shots, 5 on target. Action in the box, they had 50 against our 19, corners 14-3. But it wasn't. It's all about taking your chances. And let's look at. Let's go through each of the goals and the main points as we do. Paul, in that build-up to the opening goal on 5 minutes, Twine tried to get a free kick before he got the free kick, didn't he? I mean, you're sitting there thinking, "Oh, for goodness' sake, stand up, man!" But it was the perfect position for him, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, and he knew exactly where he was going to put it as well. Surely the last thing that the Sheffield United manager says is don't foul anyone on the outside of the box, because Twine's going to have a free kick, and it's better than a penalty almost from there, isn't it? He knew exactly where he was going to put it, and it was just the perfect. It was so flat, wasn't it? It just went over and flat and straight in.
Yeah. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Dave, they were saying on Sky that since season 21, Twine has scored more goals outside the box in the EFL. I don't know whether that includes the Prem than any other player. I mean, that's what we signed him for and more, and we got the free kick and more against Sheffield. Didn't we?
He had 4 tackles yesterday. His work rate off the ball was excellent. He was integral to lots of different things that were done. In terms of ball striking, can't think of too many other players that you almost expect to score from those positions. And he was fantastic overall yesterday. For the first goal, what I found interesting was straight away the philosophy was in play. You wins the ball, and instantly you've got runners. You've got people supporting the play. Twine does his thing where he falls over, but Anis is there. It's not attacking in isolation. And instantly for the side, it's a case of, okay, this works. You can do it in pre-season, you can buy in, but as a straight away to get a goal so early from committing men forward, it's like, what a confidence boost, And it was a very good start. And what I found interesting is it was a great reply, because Sheffield United, their first thing from kickoff was to put a ball in the air to you. Can you handle the kind of aggression? And his response is, yeah, I'm going to set up the counter and I'm going to be part of the goal. So a win for you early on.
Yeah, Mark, that goal celebration of Scott Twine looked like he almost did what the Arsenal player did in the cup final years and years ago when he injured his arm in the celebration. But what on earth was he doing with the celebration?
I think he was trying to do the knee slide, and one of the knees didn't connect properly, so he flipped over, and he could have done himself an injury. And I remember that one. Tony Adams dropped an Irish. They won the League Cup final. The guy scored a winning goal. He picked him up and dropped him on his arm and broke it. So he missed the FA Cup final against the same team later that season. Yeah, it was you run the risk of injuring yourself. Players doing somersaults, if they don't land, could do their back. I just say, just raise your arm in the air, do an Alan Shearer. It's much safer and less injury prone. I think it's something like the statistic that Dave was referring to. I'm sure they said it's something like 26 goals since 2020, 2021 from outside the area. It's his ability to make the ball dip. He gets his body over the ball. I remember David Beckham taking free kicks. He get a very low trajectory, when you bring your body round. So you lower it, but he curls it over the wall. But its ability for that ball to dip under the bar, because most players would get the lift and it would go over the bar. I remember Sheffield United had 21 clean sheets last season, I think only beaten by Burnley with their ridiculous something like 29-30. So to score 4 goals against them was just absolutely incredible. But the technique from Twine and his free kick is exemplary. Yeah, he should write coaching manuals because they're so good.
Well, maybe that's a future for him when his career comes to an end, which hopefully won't be for a few years yet. Sheffield, you'd expect them to come back, and they did. Paul, one doesn't want to be critical in any shape or form, but Randall was caught in possession. He was robbed too easily by Callum O'Hare, wasn't he?
Yes, yeah, and then it was a 1-2, wasn't it, between O'Hare and Hamer, and I think Atkinson got dragged across trying to stop it, and we were just all at sea, weren't we? And from where we were, it just looked like we opened up in the middle, and they just came straight through us and put it in. And Vitek had no chance on that one.
No. Were you disappointed with the goal, Dave? I mean, they were always going to come back, Sheffield.
The thing is that, first of all, you're away from home. Other teams are going to have moments and have spells. The frustrating thing is being caught on the ball, because as soon as Randall has the ball on the left, you is gone. He's committed to something, and by losing it, he's out of position, which means Atkinson is struggling. What we saw from that first goal is essentially you can't lose the ball in the middle, because the instinct of the whole side is if we win it, we go. If we win it, we go. If you lose it there, you leave yourself open. So he does need to do better than that. And it was kind of part of the first half in general. Him and Knight just felt a bit too wide from each other. They were cutting through us a bit too easily. So I felt as though it was kind of like a wake-up call. Like, if you want to play like this, it looks good going forward, but you can't lose it there.
Yeah. We've got a few little sound issues in the background there, so nobody is typing. I don't think it's a mic at my end, but apologies for that. There's a little bit of clicking going on in the background. Mark, the goal we conceded, Sheffield were going to come back, and they did in a vengeance. And that Tyrese Campbell, he's a half-decent striker, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he'd only prior to joining Sheffield United, I think he only scored like 9-10 goals in his good seasons at Stoke, which I think some of them were spoiled by injury. So he had a particularly good season that season. But the goal's all about Callum O'Hare's determination, not only to win the ball from Randall, who really he got his body across Randall, but to continue going forward. So you've got a number 10 in O'Hare that just is continuing to charge forward and make that move happen. It's nothing without him. And like Paul said, he drags players towards him and plays a clever flick reverse pass to Campbell, and he's straight through. Vitek made a good attempt. He did like the spider, where they make themselves as wide as possible, but he just flicked it over him. But O'Hare's pure determination to bomb through the middle. City were halfway inside their own half, playing the ball out. They looked like they were going to go up the pitch, so it was a bad turnover of the ball and a great pressing goal from Campbell that owed so much to O'Hare. But and then the game flipped, and Sheffield United were well on top.
Very much on top there. Louis Barry was featuring on that. In fact, funny enough, we were saying about you was the weak link, but a lot of the Sheffield attacking threat was coming down the left side. Louis Barry and Burrows in particular. And Dave, we saw Vitek do the first of many saves and a wholly accomplished debut from the big man in competitive action. But they were getting back into it. But let's talk about that first save that Vitek did, because he sprung to touch it around the post.
Yeah, I thought it was very much like a very strong save. It was one of those that it's not necessarily an easy.
Hello.
I think it's one of those that as a keeper you save it. Well, welcome to the first game syndrome.
That might be Paul.
Yeah. Is Paul okay? Can you mute him just for the morning entertainment?
I've muted him now.
Yeah.
Yeah, carry on, Dave.
That's too much cider after last night's yesterday's performance.
This isn't like Spectre. You haven't removed the flooring and he's disappeared or anything like that.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. Paul.
So
carry on, Dave.
In essence, it's one of those that there are some other keepers that might not get to that, and he made it look relatively easy. You look at him with his frame, and it feels like, well, you should be saving that, but it's a powerful save. And just on him slightly, yesterday they had so many corners in the first half, and the difference that he makes is because he's so tall and because he's dominant, they weren't planting them inside the 6-yard box or almost under the bar. Every corner was having to go just outside of the box, which makes it that much easier to defend because it's not a case of get a touching in. I thought he was fantastic yesterday. It's for a debut. It's a commanding performance.
Yeah, no, I agree. Let's talk about the second goal, and we're going to bring Paul back in as well. So hopefully he's sorted out his sound issues. He's been named as the culprit. You've been named as a culprit, Paul, with your mic. Let's look at the second goal. I'll come to you first, Mark. Shades of Roberto Carlos, World Cup 1970, the fourth goal that Brazil scored there. I mean, but it was a flowing move. I think it started with Mehmeti to Reese and then Reese to Twine. Take us through the goal as you saw it.
Yeah, Mehmeti's just over the halfway line, plays an amazing inside pass down the line with his right foot. The beats the defender. Reese holds the ball up high up near the corner flag, plays it across to the D, to Twine, who is just waiting for McCrory to arrive. And he strikes it so cleanly across Cooper. It just nestles in the net. Back to front, absolutely beautiful goal. Football's such a simple game and we overcomplicate it with tactics and intricacies. But when we see a goal like that, it's beautiful. But yeah, the commentators didn't pay much attention to Mehmeti's pass. That was a fantastic pass on a very tight line down to Reese. But Reese's ability to hold the ball under pressure, his upper body strength is going to be key for us this season. He may not have scored, but he was one of the best players in the match, and he played that ball across to Twine, and Twine was just waiting for McCrory to arrive. I mean, I saw some brief highlights from the Valladolid game last week, and he's striking the ball. He's going to, the way he hits the ball cleanly, he's going to score. If he could score 5 to 10 goals from right wing back this season, I think it'd be great. But it's a great strike of the ball, brilliant goal.
No, that strike from McCrory, it was one they showed on the main Sky News this morning when they gave a few milliseconds to Championship football because they're all salivating at the prospect of Premier League next week. But that was epitomised the sort of football that we want to see from City, didn't it, Dave? You know, with the quick break, the hold-up play of the big man, the unselfishness of Twine, who maybe could have had a go himself, and then McCrory, this constant running in the channels. I mean, it was it was sublime. Well, better than sublime.
Well, leading up to the goal itself, when Sheffield United were having their moment, what I found interesting is we were still looking to get forward. And sometimes you can be like, stop giving it away. And instinctively, you have to remind yourself what the philosophy is and what they're trying to achieve. And what it doesn't come off every time, sometimes getting yourself forward, even if it's for a corner, which we did at one point, is enough. And in that particular moment, Reece got himself free. And the key difference, based on one game, if you compare seasons, is that when Reece gets himself free, it's the support runners. Because if you don't have all of that support, McCrory doesn't come up on the back post at the end. You need every man committed. And if you lose it, sometimes you will be overcommitted. But that's what makes it so beautiful to watch and so entertaining, is that you have a team willing to risk it once they have the ball, because they know that is the moment. On the counter, in the transition, is when you cause damage, because teams cannot set up. And the strike itself, it's clean, it's pure, and it's beautiful.
Well, it was literally probably about 4 inches above the ground all the way through.
Exactly.
And he's a decent goalkeeper.
Rasping.
He's a rasping drive, that's the one. A grass-cutting, rasping drive. Afterwards, there was a hint of a penalty, Mark, when Mehmeti... I didn't see any contact there. They did it from 3 or 4 different angles on Sky. Should it have been a penalty when Mehmeti was brought down, or did he totally miss his kick and just fall
I think
over?
he might have kicked the back of his heels, and he did the Mehmeti thing where he should have hit the ball earlier. He takes too many touches. I think that's one of the annoying things. He gets in positions. If the extremes are the goal he got against Norwich, where he took one touch with 3 players around him and he hit it, past the keeper early, and that one where he's got more time, but he just needs to hit the ball early, taking that extra touch, almost thinking I'm encouraging the player to make a touch, but it's a complete air shot and he fell over. I don't think he was trying to con the referee. He just
he had a free kick awarded against him, though, didn't he, for it? Yes, is that right?
Yeah, that was a bit crazy.
It might have been it could have been for handball.
Yeah, that's right. Yes, he fell on the ball expecting a penalty. Yeah, that may have been why he was, but not for simulation. But I think he was just a complete air shot, and he made himself look a bit of a prat, because he should have got a shot on goal, and he did that a lot last season, getting into the penalty area, either not releasing a pass early enough or getting a shot away. That's one of the most disappointing things in football. It's such a waste of good attacking play when we attack in numbers, and we could have been 3-1 up there and then. Okay,
I'll bring Paul back in, and I know Paul's got to leave us in about 5 minutes, but hopefully your sound. I think it was you. All the fingers are pointing at you. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube,
is there a naughty step or something?
Yeah, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, Paul is wearing his goalkeeper kit from last season. It looks. Well, Paul, we've moved on since you were sorting out your issues. We moved on. We were talking about the penalty, or wasn't it, that ended up with Mehmeti being booked, which Mark has put down to him actually handling the ball when he went down. Did you think that was a penalty? I know it was the opposite end of the pitch when you were there, but you've probably seen it on replays and stuff now.
No, I haven't seen that on any of the highlight replays. I couldn't really, as you said, I couldn't really tell from our end if it was or it wasn't. There was another one down our end where I think Sam Bell put the ball through to Mehmeti, who was pointing, and he was right by the byline. It looked like he wanted to go down for a penalty then, but the ref wasn't.
I think you're right. Do you know what? That was another one. It didn't get quite so much attention, but I do know what you mean. Dave, what were your thoughts on that one? And since Paul just mentioned it, I know we're jumping forward, but just since we're talking about penalties not given, in other words, I thought very good refereeing performance from Josh Smith.
The first one I would say is there might be contact there, but I don't think it is a penalty because it just looks so clumsy. It's almost impossible for a referee to give that. The second one is a penalty. If you're talking about the one at the end of the game, for sure it's a penalty, but I don't think the ref can give it. You're talking a toe in the box. You're talking the exact point that of contact is made, and with the benefit of replays, sure. But I'm not surprised the referee didn't give it because it's such a difficult decision. So it's not a terrible error. It's just one of those things, I think.
Yeah. Paul, what was the feeling amongst the fans at half time as the teams went in? That we weathered the storm. That we were going to be pleased to be in front, but thinking they're going to come at us in the second half. What was the feeling as you detected it?
I think they were cock a hoop even at half time. There was the usual anxiety of people shouting, "Get out of the box and clear it," and just hoof it out when we were under pressure. I think half of the away fans were probably still finishing off their cider when the third goal went in at the start of the second half, because there was a mass rush back in from when the cheer went up for that. But yeah, it was just party time, and it gradually got more and more party time as things went on.
Yeah, Dave, perfect start to the second half, and another cracking goal, well moved, well executed. Reece the provider this time.
It's all about Reece Lightning, He, as debuts go, it was a sorry, it was.
Yeah, that's a Mark Tubby comment. Are you sure you two aren't related?
Sorry.
Last of the summer twat, first of the summer Twine. Now we've had Reece Lightning.
He was phenomenal yesterday, and that goal was an example of it. Looking to get into the channels, breaking wide. But again, it's the support play. It's not having one person in the box. It's having options on the table, and it's the composure to look up and see somebody free in the box. And not to over compare to last season, because I don't think it's fair to do that. But one of the frustrations was that we were slow to start second halves. That 5-10 minutes when teams adjusted against us. That didn't happen yesterday. That was the exact opposite of what we were seeing a lot last season. We came out having made adjustments, and boy, did we capitalize on the changes that we'd made. And we didn't just say, right, we've got control, let's hold, let's keep the crowd quiet. It's let's kill this game. And to repeat myself, it's beautiful to see.
Yeah, Mark, it puts you very much in the driving seat when you get a goal so early in the second half. I don't even think the half have been going for a minute.
I think they said 40 seconds on Sky, and Sheffield United played badly at the back. I think the ball was headed straight back forward, and Reece, I think, had 3 players around him. Mehmeti is the only player in the area, and he plays the ball back to him. So he's on the penalty spot, and he hits it on the half volley down into the ground, through Cooper, and it's 3-1. And I just screamed out. I could not believe it. So early in the second half, we were aggressive. We decided to push up the pitch in numbers. Like I said, they tried to play out from the back, not as badly as the fourth goal, but just headed forward. But Reece, again, big players on the right, crossed the ball back brilliantly, and a player arriving on the spot. We don't do that enough. Most of the time, we chip the ball to the back post or hit the ball hard across. It was a clever pass where Mehmeti was the only player in a real clear scoring position, and he took it brilliantly.
He did. Paul, I know you've literally got to go in a minute. Mehmeti, Struber openly said he admires Mehmeti as a player. I'm assuming you were one of those still supping their cider and didn't see the goal, but maybe you did. Do you think Mehmeti, we'll talk about this, the rest of us, but since you got to shoot, do you think Mehmeti will feel loved to the extent that he might sign that contract, or do you think he can, just play the game and run it down and play a part, but maybe play a part with us if he does well with us? Or what are your thoughts on Mehmeti and an apparent reluctance to give a commitment?
Well, the rumour is it's his agent, isn't it, rather than him, who's sort of stalling on it. It's a bit catch-22, isn't it? Because if he has a good season, does he think, I'm doing really well on my football here, I'd like to stay here, or I can really cash in now because I'm playing amazing and I can get a major contract somewhere else? So depends what's in his head, really. I mean, the only way to categorically stop it is to get promoted, isn't it? And then they all want to stay.
That would appear to be the case. All right, look, we'll say cheerio to you, Paul, because I know it's 9:30, so it's time for you to go. And thanks for Robin's Nest telling us that if you do it on the phone, you can get some mic issues there. So thanks a lot for that, Tom. But Paul, We'll speak to you again before too long, I'm sure. All right,
Okay.
there we go.
Sorry,
Cheers now. Anyway, meanwhile,
back at the ranch.
51 minutes, back at the ranch. Dave, Norrington Davis getting absolute pelters from their fans. Yeah, I'd never heard of the bloke before, but trying to dribble the ball out of defence, gets robbed by McCrory. I mean, you know, we were clinical with our finishing because McCrory capitalised on it, and Twine, quite rightly, is claiming the goal, even though it took a very strong deflection off of Bindon.
You make your own luck sometimes, and you know they're trying to play a certain way of, not so much a Sheffield United way of a bit of a build up. They weren't necessarily slow in their build up, but they're trying to play out from the back, shall we say? And again, we had 5 players committed forward. You're 3-1 up. You could want to take the sting out of the game and slow it down, but the mentality is there is we're not done yet, you know, and it's putting pressure on people. So when McCrory wins it, it's not like an isolated press of a couple of people. They've got 5 people that they've got to take care of. So it's a loose pass, but that's what pressure does to players sometimes. When they're trying to stick to a certain philosophy of giving it away there, we are advanced. When you win the ball there, it's a lot easier to do things. And that 4th goal was well deserved because of the mentality behind what comes to make it.
Yeah, it's a positive mentality. Mark, you know, you even if you're Bristol City, when you get a 4th and you're 4-1 up, you've got to be, you've got to be pretty disastrous if you're going to let that slip. But that I felt safe at that point, and that was still with 40 minutes or more to go if you included added time. But you know, it was a good, just attacking intent again, wasn't it?
Well, if you think about the fact that Sky were referring to the fact that it was a record defeat in the playoffs, 6-0, you know, over 2 legs. Remember, they kept mentioning it back in May, much to my amusement at the time. That Norrington Davis is just such a loose pass, and McCrory stretched out his leg, and then Twine has got a lot to do. He's got to go across the defender, so he takes a chance and hits it, and it hits Norrington Davis and just flies over Cooper, and he's got no chance, and it's nestling in the back of the net. And Paul and all the, you know, I think about 1,500 fans were there. Must have been in total shock. Like Dave said, we committed players forward. We weren't content just to sit on a 3-1 lead. We knew that they were soft at the back. Mehmeti left this week, as well as Souza, the big, the big midfield players. So they really missed them, but they were really flaky. And Twine took his chance at 4-1, and you're thinking, you're in dreamland. I mean, what's going on?
Dreamland. Now, a player who was instrumental in a lot of City's good play. I mean, is he 1 striker? Or is he playing as 2? I think it's a 1. With obviously the Mehmeti and Twine behind is Reece. He had his moment, Dave, didn't he? But he would be annoyed with himself that he shot over the bar, wouldn't he?
Obviously, I think he should score. You know, you'd be very disappointed to miss that kind of chance. But if you are going to miss those, miss them at 4-1. Yeah. You know, if it's the perfect time to miss that kind of chance, because ultimately you're 4-1 up. You've played a huge part in it. You've done fantastic work off the ball. You've ran the channels. You've brought other players into the game. You've done everything. You should round it off with a goal. And it's unfortunate that he missed it. But if you are going to miss it 4-1.
Yeah, Mark, you will excuse him that one, won't we?
Yeah, I think what was amazing about that was the strength of Twine to win the ball from the central defender to release Reece coming through on his left foot. He just doesn't get his knee over the ball. He should just really hit it hard and low. And he's got Cooper beating all ends up. But for some reason, he gets over it, and he had his head in his hand. But he shouldn't be ashamed of that because he was instrumental. I mean, with their initials, Reece, Mehmeti, and Twine. It's the Railway Union, the RMT, isn't it?
Who was that bloke who was always fronting them when they were on strike? Lynch, isn't it, or something?
Mick Lynch, wasn't it? Yeah, he's called.
Anyway,
he called a conservative politician a liar about 25 times.
I've got this on my phone. This is the song for Reece, but I don't think it's got quite the right tempo to be sung by Section 82. We know this one. Reese Lightning. Anyway, meanwhile,
I don't think that will catch on.
No,
Reese is the word.
Reese.
Is that
from the same?
Yeah, of course. Dave's too young. I watched that when it was released in 1978. I watched it, and I don't know how I got in because the other film was probably they had different classifications then, an A or a double A. It was twinned with Saturday Night Fever. So I watched the double bill of Saturday Night Fever and Grease at a cinema in Bristol.
Was it 77 or 78?
78, Grease.
78. Yeah, I can't believe that's 47 years ago. So we're talking about getting into dodgy films. The first film I ever saw underage was in the old ABC cinema in South Street, I think it was, in Bedminster, just off East Street. And I went to see a film. So was it called
There was a one called the Roxy, wasn't there?
I don't know. It was the one.
Oh, it might be a different one. Sorry.
Different one. Well, the only one that I knew, and I went to see a film 1971-ish, I think it was. So I'd have been about 15 or 16. Called Soldier Blue. It was a Western movie, and it was like in the Sam Peckinpah style of movies. Can you remember the first film you saw, Dave, when you got in and maybe you were not quite the right age limit?
Oh, the first film I can remember seeing was Jurassic Park, and it scared the crap out of me. I was terrified. I was like 10 years old. It was terrifying. But yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we digress because we went through the 60th minute without the usual substitutions. I mean, look, let's have a little word about him now. Liam Manning. Yeah. Oh, what's going on there? Shut up. Liam Manning. I said the other week, I said I wish him every failure. He got off to the perfect start from my perspective, where he was 1-0 down, 1-1. And he even made a comment. I even made a tweet, drew a tweet from Danny Baker in terms of his hyperbole. I mean, Mark, we haven't spoken to you for a while. Let's ask you what your thoughts are on Liam Manning. You know, a bit of a chancer.
No, I haven't got any bad words to say about Liam Manning, especially after we went through with Theo last season. He got us into playoffs after 17 years. I think he was hamstrung by the fact that we couldn't improve the squad in January. He lost 3 players. So by the end of the season, all the injuries killed us. He took a chance to go back to his hometown club. Good luck to him. It's just football, I'm afraid. I haven't got anything against the guy. He might not have been the most charismatic. That's just football. It happens. So yeah, I wish him luck. Except when they played him. So it's just football, isn't it? It's just one of those things. So,
it is the way it goes. But I mean, the fact of the matter is, we got 800,000 quid, and we got a decent standard of football to enjoy as well. The substitutions, Dave, when they did come, before you answer that question, it was the Rex in Bedminster somebody's put there, and Maxine on the comment. She's also
not T-Rex, because that'll upset David.
Maxine Hayes put on the comment that they changed bits of Saturday Night Fever so it could be showed with Grease as a A, which meant it was more suitable for children. So there we go. We could have Forever Bristol Cinema Club, couldn't we, on this? But there we go. Dave, the substitutions, good old Sinks coming on. What were your thoughts?
Well, the first one was, I believe, in the 70th minute was Bell for Twine. Was the first sub, I believe.
Right, yeah. So I'm just checking here on my stat.
And that's where I want to see Bell play. If we have Bell playing in that position, you're going to counter the speed, and it's very much the people in the chat are on fire today. I just have to say, I was about to say, did Dave T get lucky last night? He's looking 18 this morning. It's very difficult to talk normally when you can see people making you laugh. But yeah, I feel 18 after yesterday's performance. It was great. No, in terms of Bell, him playing in that position, that's where you want to see him. And it's on him now to capitalize on that, because late in games, if we're ahead, he's going to get opportunities. And Armstrong is as well. For both of them, it's made for them. If they can't succeed in this kind of setup, they're not for this level. And some people may say that they're not for this level already. but we have them. Now's their moment to find out. And just to bring it forward slightly, Armstrong has that chance when he's through on goal later on. He's got Bell to the left, and he should have passed it much earlier. The fact that he didn't, I understand you're a striker and you want to score goals, but it says a lot about the intensity of the pressure that he knew he had to take it. And for me, Armstrong needs to practice shooting from those angles. Because I thought that him and Bell actually looked very good yesterday. They got into dangerous positions, but they didn't finish anything, and they didn't really look like finishing.
That's the thing to me when those two came on, because Sinks came on for Reece with 7 minutes to go. They showed why they're not the answer to us from a striking perspective, because we could have, with chances, and we'll talk about Vitek and a couple of saves he made later on, but we could have easily won that 6-1, or 6-2 when you look at that save. But you worry that when you worry that if something, God forbid, happens to Reece, there's nobody up there at all that can do what he did. Mark, what did you think of Sinks and Bell when they came on? It's last chance saloon for the latter. And somebody said, I think Tom of Robin's Desk said on the text, McCrory's been doing shooting practice with separate coaching. I don't know how much. Well, he must know that that's true. Dave's just said Sinks should be doing extra training to get those over just on percentages. But what did you think of their contribution yesterday?
I think they look good going forward, but it's the final bit. And Armstrong, I think he's played enough games in the Championship with QPR and City. If you said no, he's not a finisher, it's a big worry. It's the same situation as when Naki Wells was injured or had to go off during games. There's nobody strong enough. We haven't got a second striker worthy of the name. Harry Cornett was on the bench yesterday, and Ephraim Yeboah. I mean, Ephraim Yeboah getting on the bench, and Alan Murphy as well. That was quite a nice surprise. There's nobody else behind them even remotely strong enough to take their place. So I really do worry. I think we need to bring somebody in. I don't rate Armstrong at all. I was prepared to give him a chance. Good, strong player going forward, but not a striker at all. Bell looks a little bit flaky, but at least he could play wide in a free or as a number 10 as a sub. I'm not sure if his finishing is steps up from where he was 2 or 3 seasons ago when he came in during the end of the Semenyo era and looked quite hot. Scored that first goal against Swansea, I remember, in the FA Cup replay. I remember he got a disallowed goal against Blackburn, and I thought, crikey, this guy looks good. Injuries set him back, but there's just nobody behind Reece Jacobson. We've got to bring somebody else in, and the other, I think, left wing back is another area we need to strengthen because Cam Pring's going to be out for a little while.
I know his fitness record is not the greatest. Sheffield were huffing and puffing to get what was going to be a consolation goal. Knight, I think, headed one off the line or certainly blocked it on the line. But there was a close range header, Dave, that Vitek, it was his save of the. Yeah, he did 3 or 4 good saves, but that one in particular where he just managed to get a big hand. I mean, he's a big man, isn't he? And you needed a strong hand, even though it was a header, to keep that one out. But that was the pick of the bunch for me late on. It would have made it 4-2.
It was a photograph save. It was one of those that looks really good for the camera, but you're expecting the keeper to save. On Sheffield United in general, first of all, Vitek, like I said earlier, he commanded the box excellently. They even had a long throw, which he came for a crowd in court, and that just releases the pressure from your defence, knowing that your keeper is going to be there collecting stuff that does a lot of the work for you. I didn't think we were perfect yesterday in terms of defending. Some of it is a trade-off. You can't be committed going forward and adding men. There's going to be an element of giving away chances. I thought Knight and Randall were a bit too apart in the first half. They were better in the second half. But in general, I felt like we were a bit loose yesterday in terms of defensive setup. You needs a little bit of work in terms of his positioning. because there were times when he looked slightly lost. In the second half, we were better, but if Sheffield United had taken a few of their chances yesterday, the game could have gone slightly differently. So it was fantastic to watch, but there is definitely work to do defensively, because you will give up chances playing like this, but don't give them up for free, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. A couple of comments here. Alan Gwinnell, do you think we make changes Tuesday? That's a Carabao Cup game against MK Dons. We'll talk about that in a moment. Steve said, we extrapolating this morning, Dave P, 138 points. No, I've just being top of the league for, well, I was going to say till 5 o'clock, because I wonder if Leicester will get a better margin of difference when they play beleaguered Sheffield Wednesday in this afternoon.
They've now sorted out their financial problems, aren't they? I think they're only under the players have been paid, and another club, according to the Sky News ticker, all that they're under is a transfer embargo until 26-27 season. But yeah, I mean, Danny Rolls, no doubt, you think that they'd be one of the favourites for relegation this season. The club have advised people not to buy replica shirts and things like that, and it's a club in real turmoil, isn't it?
Has Danny Roll left them now, Mark?
Yeah, he left by mutual consent last week.
And who's managing the club now?
I don't know.
Well, probably Barry Bannon, because he seems to have committed his future there, doesn't he? I saw he signed a contract. But there we go. I mean, let's look at some individual performances. Dave, you said defensively we need to be a bit better, but we certainly didn't get overrun. But if you look at your thoughts on Tanner, Viner, and Atkinson yesterday, individually and as a unit.
As a back three, I thought they were great as a unit. My talking about defensively, it was more of the team setup as a whole. I felt needed to be a bit tighter. But Tanner, I would say it's one of his best games I can remember. Some people I've seen say that it's his best position there. I don't think it is. I think he's a right back by nature. But he was fantastic yesterday. Viner was great yesterday. Atkinson had a lot of work to do. You cannot underestimate how much work Atkinson does with having you there. He covers a lot of the stuff on that side that allows you to express himself going forward. And as a three, I thought they were great. What I have a question for both of you is, next week, Dickie's available. Does he come in next week, or do you keep the back three as it is?
Well, that's a good point. Mark, you pick that one up first of all.
I think I keep the same back three. I was really impressed by Atkinson, Viner, and Tanner. I think he managed the ball very well when they were playing the long ball over the top, weren't they? To Campbell, or the guy that was playing on the left side of midfield. So he managed that very well. They kept playing well as a tight unit. Why change a winning formula? But the fact that he got somebody like Rob Dickie in reserve, I think is great. One of the great things about Atkinson is, I remember when he did play, about 2 or 3 seasons ago, he's big threat at corners. Score a few headed goals. So yeah, keep it the same. You put Rob Dickie on the bench. Happy with a 3. We could transition to a 4 now and again. Depends what Struber wants to do. Or he may change his tactics depending on the opposition. We don't know yet. Has he talked about a fixed way of playing with the high press with energy, or is he quite open to change in terms of the way the defence plays? I don't know.
I mean, if you look at what we had on the bench defensively, you got Hayden Roberts, who I would say is probably an odds-on player to go out through the door. Dickie suspended, but now available for selection. Knight LaBelle, he's the one who's got Canadian international prospects, I think, isn't he? So
he's
the fact that he's on the bench against a background of a so-called derisory offer put in for Zach Viner, McNally out till, let's say, the opening of the January transfer window. Dave, would you, if Derby, let's say Derby came along for Zach Viner and said $1.5 million rather than the alleged £1 million, $1.5 million for Zach Viner, do you let him go in this transfer window?
It's such a difficult question because of there are quite a few injuries in the defensive area right now, and you don't want to leave yourself light as we discovered last season, you do need the defenders. But it's next season he's out of contract, right? The next summer.
Yeah.
For that reason, if you're offered that amount of money, how much is it worth to you if you don't take it? You know, it's a club that loses money overall and does need to make profit rather than players running down. So you need to find out where you are in terms of contract. Do you see him as one of your players going forward? I see that from there. 1.5 million is too cheap, but you're talking, one season away and it's worth nothing.
Yeah.
So I guess you would say yes. If you're talking about pathway, got Knight Labelle coming through, you've got Dickey coming back.
And James Campbell-Slowey, although he's injured at the moment, and McNally coming back. Yeah.
I'd
be on Slowey or?
I'd be on the yes side.
Is it Josh Campbell-Slowey or James? I can't remember.
It's James Knight Labelle and Josh Campbell-Slowey, I think. That's what it is.
Yeah, Jamie Knight Labelle, that's it. Yeah.
And Knight Labelle's the one who's fit at the moment. Robin's Nest has pointed out here that we've said it more than once, and I think he's right, that Zach is one of the highest paid players at the club. So if you get a fee for him and you want to put the fee in to reduce the losses, because we all know the club loses £18 million a year before any player sales. But if you're freeing up a wage, that I've heard a number that I don't know if it's true, but you could still get in a player for 2/3 of that number on a loan basis to shore you up between now and the new year. There's different ways to cut it. Mark, would you sell Zach if somebody comes in?
If the figure was large enough, the club would have to consider it, because we're not going to recruit players unless we sell them. I mean, we've got a player like Harry Cornick who's contracted to July 2026. At offers, he hasn't wanted to move. We can't really give the player away. He's nowhere near the first team squad. But apart from yesterday, I think that was down to Meulu being virtually out the door. So if we could get a fee for Meulu, if an offer comes in from Zach that's attractive, he may or may not go. When you've got the likes of Knight Labelle coming as cover in central defence as well with Dickey.
And McCrory can play. Mark, McCrory can play in central defence as well as a.
Yeah, but I don't think we want to play him there because of his attacking abilities. Is a wing back and he can score. You want him higher up. You want him higher at the pitch. But if we want to strengthen, we're going to have to trade. It's as simple as that. We're not in a great position financially.
When you look at that performance yesterday and the way that Struber sets up, first of all, you've got someone like Sykes, who is a quality player, and right now doesn't get past McCrory. And the question is, will he be able to? I still think it's going to be a hell of a battle from those two, because Sykes is going to be chomping to take a chance. I'm hoping he doesn't leave.
Sykes is another one who's out of contract next summer.
This is also true, but if he doesn't leave, he can play possibly in Twine's position as well. There are so many rotating.
You talk about players playing in Twine's position. I mean, let's look at who didn't play. 3 players that didn't play that are all not out long-term injured, and we're talking here Williams, Bird, and Stokes. Now, here's a contentious one for you. We know that we've seen it now. We've seen it. You've got to see it in the flesh to see what Struber ball's like. So I saw the friendly against the Spanish team, and we saw it. Okay, we saw it on TV, but in proper competitive action yesterday. We are playing a very different style of football to what we had. It's very action-oriented. And everybody's saying, oh, well, we're missing. Where does Max Bird fit into this team? Because I don't see him as an action pressing player. He's got a very laconic style. Yeah. What are your thoughts on that, Dave? Max Bird, where does he fit into the team if fit?
I'm of the opinion that he would be in, say, Randall or Knight's position, because you would allow yourself rotation. He could do that job there, because while you don't need, say, as accurate passing, it still helps to find players. But it has consequences, because if you bring Bird in, I wouldn't necessarily be happy with Bird and you too close together, because you lack that energy and strength that you need. But that's what we're talking about here. We're talking about, on one hand, do we have additional strikers to fill Reese's position? And then we have players of the quality of Dickey to come back, Bird, Sykes. you have to remember, it is a squad game. We are going to have injuries. How many seasons have we had it where we've had multiple injuries and we're struggling? These players are going to get an opportunity, and it's all about how they perform. And sometimes, as a manager, you just have to say, your time will come. I would still take Bird over Randall personally, but I can't argue with what I saw yesterday. In the first half,
Randall and Knight both have energy, and I don't see Bird as an energetic player. Let me ask Mark your view on that. Mark, do you think Bird has got that energy? Some people are saying he could play in the 10, but Twine showed a level of energy that we didn't see much from him last season. Where does Bird fit where does Bird fit in when fit?
At the moment, he'd have to be in the 2. I think Knight is irreplaceable. Such a strong player in front of the defence. I think he need to score the odd goal, a few goals more than he did, like he did the season before last. I think there's a lot more to come from Max Bird. When you saw the play, the goal he got against Preston, I like to see more of that. Play with a little bit more freedom, and he's a great passer of the ball as well. I like to see him score more goals, but he's not as energetic, and he's not a very good tackler if he's in a 2. That's more of a defensive role. He won't replace Mehmeti as a number 10, so that's the only place I could see him playing at the moment. Unless he's pushed up as a number 10, he'd have to replace Mehmeti.
Okay, couple of things. Stu G, totally agree, Stu, that Bird is a top midfielder. Don't disagree with that at all. And Diane Patcher said, what about putting Sykes up front? Could Sykes play, in a more central...
Sykes was probably... Losing Sykes was probably because he was in form. I mean, the goal he got against Sheffield United in the 96th minute and the goal he got against Norwich, I think he was our most effective player at the end of the season. To lose him, losing him when we did against in the pre-match against QPR, that really hurt our chances eventually. In the playoffs, because he was well in form then.
Yeah,
I think as John Allison said on the chat, you could play him and McCrory, and as opposite wing backs. He hasn't played very well as left wing back previously. I remember a game against Stoke a couple of seasons ago when we got hammered. But I think McCrory could play there. So maybe he could play there. Otherwise, you play him as an effective sub, as a right wing back who can contribute goals. And he's also clever enough to be able to come inside and take passes like he did against United and drop off of the centre backs. Vital goals like that. Goal against Oxford last year when we were down to 10 men. I think he's still got a lot of value for the club. So good to have competition.
I mean, if you have a look at the from the last 2 games, Yeboah got a workout last week in the friendly. Yesterday you had Armstrong, you had and Bell coming on. There's competition for places. At some point, Stokes is going to get a look in. The reason I say
Stokes is the one that I'm excited about, just because he did so well for Cambridge and got that loan experience. And dare I say it, maybe Morrison is suffering by not getting any game action last season because he just spent all of his time on the bench. Whether it's an attitude thing, but I
think he was injured. But he had a long-term injury.
I don't think it's an attitude thing. I just think that there's last season had its reasons, and this season, Struber's looked at you and said, "That's the guy that I want playing there." And the second version of it is Macquarie there. There's just big competition for places, and you don't just want to be put in because you're a pathway player. And ultimately, there's a lot to go around. And the reason I say I see Bird as more of the centre midfielder is because the energy is required, but it's not necessarily box to box. The goal is to get the ball forward. You have the other 4 players going forward, or the other 5, sorry. You have the wing backs, the 10s, and Reece. Their job is to get it and hit it forward. If you take the first goal we conceded, I don't think Bird loses the ball there because I think the ball's gone quicker. And I don't think that in terms of energy, they were that well spaced in the first half to say, oh, if Bird was there, he would have been worse. So I think he could do that job perfectly fine. It's just a case of finding his best place, because he could become a utility guy that fits in for everyone else. And that's great for the team, but not so much for him.
Yeah, no, I get that. A lot of people saying here on the text feed, we need to move 3 or 4 players on, which will be hard because, you know, it's about wages to some extent. I mean, it's an interesting, what a better place to be in. I mean, we got 2 home games coming up now. MK Dons will be doing our review of that on Wednesday morning, and then home to Charlton, who got off to a good start their first season back in this league for a few. They beat Watford 1-0. You know, we could have a really sparkling start to this campaign. And wouldn't it be great to go into the first international break, which comes the first weekend of September, where we are now? Because if you look at our opponents, you know, we don't need, if we play like that, we don't need to fear any of our opponents for the first half dozen fixtures or so in the game. Mark, let's look forward to Tuesday night. MK Dons, he will make changes for that, don't you think?
Yeah, you think so. I think Rob Dickie will get a run out. Maybe some of the youngsters, maybe even Adam Murphy, perhaps Lumley in goal to get a run out for him, and maybe Armstrong plays up front. Don't know, or Sam Bell to rest Reece because MK Dons are in League Two, so they may take a chance with that. So it'd be nice to progress in the competition, but these things can be a bit of a distraction, and then you always worry with our record about getting players injured. I think that's the big concern about these extra matches, that somebody gets injured. And I think the fact of the matter is, if Mayu doesn't appear on the bench, then you'll know that there's some activity in the background and that we're looking to move him on because
or he's probably thinks he's a crap. Yeah,
that's what diplomatically that's one way of saying it.
Yeah. Dave, he could make wholesale changes, couldn't he, if he wanted to, and have the big guns on the bench. So start Armstrong, start Murphy. Have the players. I mean, it is MK Dons, so we don't want a banana skin because there's revenue. The second round of the Cup comes August Bank Holiday week. Yeah, a good thing that we play Derby on the Friday because we get an extra recovery day, assuming we beat MK Dons on that. Do you think he will make those wholesale changes? As Mark said, Lumley in for Vitek. You know, you could bring Knight LaBelle in. You could be brave, put Roberts in as well. Not Roberts, Yeboah in. He's got lots of options.
That's the point. There are lots of options there. What I would say is I don't want Reece playing at all. Nothing. You need him fit. The rest of the side, you need a little bit of continuity. If you just change the whole side, you can't then complain that there wasn't a performance. But looking ahead slightly, you know, there's Charlton next week. There's other games. If you look at last season, if you look at a squad as a whole, you want to get to the business end with everybody fit and raring to go, not on the last legs. We're going to find out what kind of manager Struber is in that way, because yesterday was an incredible performance, you know, an incredible win. I don't remember an opening day like to that level, except maybe the last one was Sheffield United away, coincidentally. But do you change it up? Do you rotate it for freshness? You know, do you bring Dickie back in, or do you stay the same? There are questions to be asked about how he goes forward, because I don't see him as a manager that has a best 11 and sticks with that. I see him not afraid to make changes, and the best managers don't just make changes when they lose; they also make them when they win. And you know, game 2 of the season of the league, sure, you keep it the same. But at some point, the rotation will come in naturally.
Hey, that's a good point you make there. I think the side that started yesterday and played most of the game, that takes the field against Charlton next week, right? And let's bring the youngsters in or make changes on Tuesday night. And even if we beat MK Dons 5-0, I don't think anybody forces their way in against MK Dons to displace any of that 11 that started yesterday and effectively got the result of the season. You know, you beat Sheffield United away at any point of the season. That's a good result. Mark, do you think
just to interrupt, you say that, but Dickie's fit. Dickie was the linchpin last season, and if he doesn't start and the defence looks a bit off, straight away it'll be, well, Dickie was fit and he didn't play. The manager made the wrong call. So it's a big call.
Who do you leave? Because we haven't talked individually about Rob Atkinson, but you know that is like having a new signing there, and he was great. Who do you leave out of that back. Who do you leave out of that back three then, Dave? Because you're right. Dickey gets some minutes on the pitch, yeah. But I'll be honest, I think he's a bit slow. And I think Atkinson, Dickey, and McNally when he's fit, that is the best combo because McNally has got what those two haven't, that's pace. That's what Zach Viner's got, is pace, right? But I think if you put Dickey in there to the exclusion of Tanner, right, then I don't know. Okay, I've argued against myself there because you've still got Viner with the pace, right? Yeah. But I don't think Dickey, if he plays Tuesday, no matter how he plays, I don't think he walks back into the side next week. What do you say, Mark?
No, I keep the same back three. Keep the competition. I think he can be a bit slow. He was beating the foot race by Kiefer Moore, wasn't he? Which is why he got sent off against Sheffield United. So with the ball in behind, and the same thing happened in the home game. I think it was with Gustavo Hamer. He'd only been on the pitch 5 minutes after being out for a few months. So there's always that chance, the ball's played in behind him. His recovery pace is slow, but he can bring the ball out of defence well, reliable, good manager of the ball, great shot. Remember that goal against Sunderland? Absolute worldie. Yeah. But I think at the moment, keep the same back three, but give him a run out on Tuesday.
Dave.
See how he does. Fight for places. Competition is brilliant.
Dave.
Mr. P, first question for you then. Based on what you saw yesterday and a little bit of the pre-season, is Dickey currently a member of the best 11 in terms of the defence? Based on what you saw yesterday, do you think he gets back in at some point? Or is it just a case of Charlton is the same back three because of what happened yesterday?
I think Charlton's the same back three because of what happened yesterday. This is why
he will get back in at some point because the rigors of the Championship and Cup games.
I think
FA Cup and League Cup. He'll get back in at some point.
But your defence is probably the part that you change the least over a season because you want that continuity there, and your guys are your guys quite often, and it's not something
you look at Burnley, Esteves and Egan Riley, and of course they lost Egan Riley now. He went to sign a new contract. I mean, they were fantastic together, weren't they? Best central defensive partnership probably in the history of the Championship. The way that they 29 shutouts.
I mean,
so the players will based on form. I hope it continues to develop. But Dickey is good enough to get back in that side. It'll be dependent on form, suspensions, injuries, what have you. But he can certainly get back in. He'll just have to fight his way back.
What I would say is, like I said, I think Tanner had his best game that I can remember in a long time as a right centre back, and it would be it sends the wrong message to say, well done for playing so well, but Dickey's in, and for that reason you have to start. But going forward, I would expect to see Dickey back in, Viner move over, and I don't see anything changing from that in the longer term.
Struber likes Viner, right, and he said that at that little get-together that podcasters and others had in a separate one with Struber. He likes Viner, he likes Mehmeti, and those are the two most likely. We've already had an offer for Viner, but perish the thought, but it could happen. I mean, a win like that when it's the game of the day, because no Premier League action, it brings visibility to Bristol City on the natural stage, right? Perish the thought, but somebody could come in. What would City do? If somebody came in, Everton being mentioned, Everton come in on transfer deadline week and say, we give you 10 million for Jason Knight. What do you do? Your Lansdowne, never mind Struber, is 10 million quid, all up front, because they got that buying power. Dave?
You take the money.
Yeah,
that's simple. You take the money.
Mark?
Yeah, you'd have to take the money. Can't stand in the player's way if that offer comes in. The only problem is the later it is in the transfer window, you have to anticipate that there may be movement and look for replacements, and you don't have much time to fill that role. That's the only problem. But the way the club's finances are with FFP or whatever it's called now, anything at that level, depending on the instalments, you just can't say no.
You would hope there's a plan. You would hope that either
Yeah.
they've looked at the squad and said we're happy with, like you said before, that it's rounded the replacement, and I don't know where to sit on the fence with that one. Is he or is he not? But you would hope they would look at it and say, well, Williams is due back, Bird is fit, we've got enough there. Or they're looking and saying, well, if we do lose him, the dominoes fall. I wouldn't want to be in a situation where there's no plan there, you know?
Look, I think there probably is a plan now more than there used to be. I mean, Ben has said here, if you're in the Prem, you're looking for a championship midfielder, you take Redoni before you take Knight. Yeah, I sort of agree with that because Redoni is better in front of goal. But
definitely.
People want the running and statistics that.
But is he better, or is it just a case of the job that Knight's asked to do? You know, because if Knight was asked to get forward and be pushing forward, but that's not the job he's being asked to do.
No,
he's being asked to put the energy and to win it. And we don't really know in that aspect of Knight.
No.
Yeah, he's like the water carrier. He breaks out the play and gets the team moving forward.
Yeah. CMB has said Randall is the replacement in my view. That's what I said right back from the start. And another player that, you know, is admired north of the border, mentioned by, I think, Ali McCoy separately, is Ross McCrory. I mean, you know, a big, powerful guy. I think he's under contract. Did he sign a 3-year deal with a 1-year option? So I guess McCrory, we haven't got to worry about somebody coming in for him. But, you know, I mean, what a player he is at right wing back with that power that he brings.
Every player is available at the right price. His price is very, very high.
Yeah, that's true. All right, guys, and everybody that's watched, nearly 600 of you at various stages through this episode. I mean, we certainly didn't expect to be talking about a win of this magnitude. You know, I was hoping for a 1-1 draw to set us up for the 2 home games that on paper are winnable. I think it's going to be a really exciting season. I think there'll be games where, you know, it will be high scoring because, you know, when you play as attacking as we did, you leave gaps at the back. As some people have said, what's it going to be this style of football like if teams come to Ashton Gate and play with a low block? But here we are after one game of the season, sat atop the division, and realistically, we should be there come 5 o'clock next Saturday because Charlton is one of those teams at home. Be
careful, Dave. Be careful. Football is humbling.
Exactly.
Football is very humbling quickly.
Yeah. Any final words from you before we wrap up? You still there, Mark?
Yeah, just looking forward. Looking for the pictures frozen for some.
Your pictures froze. I was.
Yeah, don't know why. That doesn't look very healthy, does it, with my red eye?
No.
Yeah, really looking forward to it. I think there's only, I'm chatting to somebody the other day, just a few hundred tickets left. It's going to be a packed house. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. Let's hope the weather's good. The pitch is in great condition always, as we know, and that we get the win. But teams will play with a low block against us, and we'll have to find a way of playing through teams that has constantly frustrated us in seasons past. But one with a player as strong as Reece, we know that he can be the pivot to bring the number 10s into play. That's going to be the difference, I think, this season. That's what we lacked with somebody like Naki Wells. You wouldn't have the strength to hold on to the ball further up. So let's look forward to looking forward to next Saturday. It's exciting. 4-1 away to Sheffield United. Absolutely amazing.
Brilliant.
Blew his socks off.
Dave, I mean, it is like a breath of fresh air. Those teams with low block, we make it easy for them. We did certainly under Manning with the recycling the ball, the horseshoe style, where it gives them the opportunity to reset. They're going to low blockers. Charlton could be a case in point, but you know we're going to take it to them, and every game I'm looking forward to going now because I know we're going to play this way, and that's what we want.
You know, ultimately, teams will evolve against you, and you have to do the same. We don't quite know what to expect yet if teams don't offer us gaps in behind. When they do, will we adapt? We saw a little bit of it against the Spanish side. If teams sat off again, we started to look into the pockets and picking off little bits and pieces. ultimately we don't really know how it's going to be once teams think, oh, we've got you. And Danny Harris said it perfectly, chaos. It's very difficult to work out chaos when chaos is in play because you don't know what's going to happen. I'm excited for what we're going to see, but football can be humbling very quickly. And in this division, you never assume anything against any team. And my last words, this chat today has been on fire. I don't know if I'm just in a very good mood, but I have never laughed so much from so many of the comments. So thank you to everybody. It's been very funny.
It's been really good. Well, look, we'll be back on Wednesday morning, and again this time next Sunday with our review of Charlton. But in the meantime, everybody who's listened, let's enjoy some Reese Lightning, and let's enjoy this season. If it carries on like it started, there's going to be no complaints. All the best, everybody. See you on